Who is God?
Well, one of the things I like to ask before even who is God is what is God? Because I think people, right away, Swedenborg talks about, you should really think about God from essence. What's the essence of God? And then put it into a person, like, what would God look like, or what is God as a personality or as Jesus or whatever. But if you just think as a person first, kind of like the old guy with the white beard on the throne, how do you get to anything bigger? You're stuck already with this guy standing there with edicts and throwing, lightning bolts at us and stuff like that. But in essence, what is God? What is God? And again, I could go right to God is life itself. God is love itself. God is the very reality of everything that is, like maybe a Native American religion, the spirit that lives and moves in all things.
So I like that, but I did notice that you just brought up Native American religion.
Mm-hmm.
So this being that is life itself.
Yeah, just an example. But yeah.
And love itself, God, that we're going to call it. Is it the same God in other religions?
Yeah, there is only one God. I mean, the sense of other religions. One of the things I love about what Swedenborg says is that every religion has value. If somebody is living according to the good precepts of their faith, he says, they're going to go to heaven. Now, I know a lot of people, when I first started preaching that or doing some stuff on media, social media, a lot of people go, that's not true. If you don't believe this or that, you're going to hell. Hey, that's part of the illusion.
Right.
But I think that very biblically, I mean, you can see a basis for this. And the story of Moses, which most people are familiar with, he left Egypt. Egypt was slaves and all that. I'm not going to get into the whole story, but here there's this burning bush that's not being consumed. He goes, I got to see this, right? Here is God, right, speaking to him. And God says, I've heard the cry of my people, go, and I want you to get them out of Egypt. Let my people go. Moses doesn't know knows it's God, but doesn't really know anything more than that. So he kind of slips in there. Whom shall I say is sending me? He didn't want to say,
what's your name?
He didn't want to say, who are you?
Are you Zeus?
Yeah, like who's calling? Who shall I say is calling? And God says the most profound thing. He says, tell them I am has sent you. I am I who am. I like that translation of it. What does that mean? Tell them reality is sending you. Tell them life itself is sending you. Tell them the first principle is sending you. Tell them the creative energy and force of the universe is sending you. I am. Imagine, so what's interesting about that? What's the King James version of I am? We know it's in Hebrew, it's Yehovah or Yahweh. Some people say that's I am, or I am I who am. King James, we translate it as Jehovah. People have heard that. Most people think that's Jehovah's name. My name is I'm Jehovah, a person. No, it actually means I am. So imagine everywhere in the Bible how different our view would be if it, instead of saying what it says is, instead of saying I am, they say Jehovah, or they even just say the Lord in big caps. What would it be like if everywhere it said God or Jehovah, it said instead, I am. And so for the angel of I am came to talk to us, or an I am appeared before Abraham and said, that's so esoteric, that's so deep, you would have to go, you'd have to think so much bigger about God. So I think biblically even, the Bible calls us to look deeper.
Right. And one of the things I like about that is the whole point that you were making at the beginning about God being itself and life itself, this infinite love. And if there is an infinite love in the universe, and we are very, very finite, then in order to have all of that infinite love be reflected, there needs to be an unending supply of different people. And I can only reflect a tiny, tiny sliver of what God's love really is. But with an infinite number of people, or an indefinite number of people of all sorts of variety and kind, more and more people can be reflecting different aspects of God. Which is why there can be all these different religions all approaching one single source. Mm-hmm. Now, that doesn't mean that God is anything.
Yeah.
But it does mean that there's going to be a significant amount of variety approaching that one infinite thing.
And it doesn't mean necessarily that there aren't, I'll say it, better pictures of God or better descriptions than
More
others.
or less
of God.
accurate.
Yeah, more or less, right, more or less accurate. But with that accuracy comes maybe an easier way to get through life, or even a happier way to get through life at the more accurate.
Yeah, if all
descriptions.
roads lead to Rome, that doesn't mean that some of those roads don't lead through some bad places.
Right, exactly. But I mean, but the idea that Swedenborg puts through very strongly is that anyone who is trying or bringing good or that love through them into the world, regardless of exactly how their faith gears that love, or I don't want to say aim, but directs that love, is not only valid but valuable, and that's what you're saying too. I mean, and just think about it as the human race multiplies and go forth and multiply. That love is able to take greater and greater form and shape and variety through us, in this world.
That's why it's so important that it's not God as just being itself, but that being is at its core
Love.
And